October 13, 1972. On this fateful day, Uruguayan Air Force Flight 571 carried 45 souls, members of the Old Christians Club rugby team, their friends, and families on a flight from Montevideo, Uruguay, to Santiago, Chile, a journey that would end in the most unimaginable way. As the plane descended towards Santiago, a mistaken navigation led the pilots into the frozen heart of the Andes. They were not headed for the airport. They were headed for disaster. The crash was violent. The wreckage scattered. 33 survivors pulled themselves from the debris, alive but trapped at 12,000 feet above sea level. The mountains were merciless, and so too was the weather. With no food, no heat, and no way to call for help, they were left to survive the unthinkable. The freezing winds, the thin air. It seemed like the mountains themselves were conspiring against them. They searched the wreckage, finding only small comforts, candy, wine, and jam. But as the days dragged on, those too were gone. The hunger grew unbearable. One by one, the bodies of the fallen piled up. And with that, the survivors faced a horrifying truth. In order to survive, they had to make a choice no one should ever have to make. The dead would become their sustenance. Roberto Canessa, one of the survivors, wrote in his memoir, "I will never forget that first incision, when each man was alone with his conscience." But even this was not enough. On October 29th, disaster struck again. A massive avalanche buried the wreckage, taking 8 more lives. But still, they pressed on. To survivors, braving the impossible, ventured into the storm, battling through days of harsh conditions, desperate for help. They would not give up. After 72 days, the rescue came. Only 16 survived. They had endured the worst nature could throw at them: death, starvation, and their own humanity pushed to its breaking point. The survivors are seen in a rescue plane, looking out at the mountains far below. The camera zooms in on their tired faces. The story of Flight 571 is one of death, survival, and the extraordinary lengths the human spirit will go to in order to stay alive. But more than that, it is a story of resilience, of the unbreakable will to survive, even when the odds are insurmountable. It is a story that, though unimaginable, is very real. This is the true story of Flight 571. A tale of survival against all odds.